You know, everybody's talking about the WWE draft and who's getting drafted from NXT, SmackDown to Raw, Raw to SmackDown. But you know what? Here on Sportswire Radio, it looks like we've drafted a man that has quite a resume. When you think about this sport of backyard, underground wrestling, I don't even know what it's all called at this point. I want to call it All Wrestling Matters here. And this is a man that has pretty much done it all. When we think about all the championships he's won and a group he was a part of called Congregation. And certainly we hope that we can certainly stay in his congregation tonight. And obviously, he is also one half of the longest reigning tag team champions in resurrection history. And this was a championship that he helped defend against people, from a little company you probably heard of named Tennessee Backyard Wrestling. And he was out there in the ring with a who's who of people that have come on this platform, especially notably the man we last saw him in the ring with, the West Memphis Kid, Ronnie Brady, and certainly the likes of D'Angelo LaFlame when he was the host of the Hot Takes in Resurrection Wrestling. Now he's literally basically a hot take almost every week on this show on Sportswire Radio, and some guy named Rage, and the list goes on and on and on of people that have come on this platform. And this man certainly has shared a ring, and he's got a lot to say about them. But certainly here on a Monday night, it's time to introduce our guest, and he's got a lot to say. And this man with the microphone, it's going to be lively tonight. You thought certain people that have shared a ring in Resurrection Wrestling had a lot to say. You thought that certainly people had a lot to say when they come on this platform. You wait until you hear this man. They don't call him an icon for nothing. And I'll assure you tonight, you're going to remember why he was and why he still is an icon. So because it's All Wrestling Matters here on Sportswire Radio, is your voice of all wrestling, the Reverend Tom Bryce, I am going to formally introduce our guest tonight, and especially because so many of his peers in Resurrection Wrestling, I suppose, Tennessee Backyard Wrestling, maybe other people that he's shared a ring or a locker room with out there have gotten that same introduction. So it's about time to give him that introduction, because he's like, Tom, I've been waiting for a long time to come on this platform. Shut the hell up. Get over it. Do the intro, and I want to talk, so I'm going to do it because it's Monday night and we're prime time, baby, like it is always on Sportswire Radio. So let's get right to it. So with without further ado, here on the Sports Report, number one, global sports show. He was a part of the group Congregation. He was one half of the longest reigning tag team champions in Resurrection Wrestling history. Simply put, Sting's got nothing on him because he's the real icon. His name is Jack Spade. Welcome to the Congregation, my friend.
Let me just say, first and foremost, it's wonderful to be here on Sportswire. It's wonderful to be here in front of the presence of Tom Bryce, the voice of underground. No, we're not even going to say that. We're going to say the voice of wrestling, period, because this is the number one global sports internet radio show in the world. Number one, and you
you really do listen. I get messages from people almost every day, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook. I hear you all the time on Facebook and Instagram, and I just want to say thank you for what you do in the backyard and the underground. And yes, we also do professional wrestling. Thank you for bringing it up, because I did have one UK deathmatch hardcore icon, Radu Bulat, last week, and we've had Dean Allmark on, who wrestled in TNA. My buddy's RP Davis. So thank you for acknowledging that. But certainly, it's not about me. It's about you, Mr. Jack Spade. Certainly, you are quite an ace of spades. Certainly, we welcome you to our congregation here on Sportswire Radio. Obviously, we're in your kingdom. So I guess there's a lot to talk about. I almost don't even know where to start, but I guess I'm going to start kind of going back for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire. Since you're here for the first time, I'm going to ask you, how did you get into this crazy world of wrestling, and just where did it all start for you, Mr. Jack Spade?
Well, it all started for me in a little old town of Truman, Arkansas, when I was first exposed to the world of wrestling. I never knew what it was until I was about 7 or 8 years old. And the
Mm-hmm.
first thing I saw was a YouTube video of this tall man in this black trench coat. Little guy, you might know him by the name of The Undertaker, right?
I think I've heard. I
And I
think
come to
I've heard of
find
him.
out,
I'm not quite sure, but it sounds familiar.
sounds familiar, not a lot of people have. And it was him versus Kane. And I had an uncle who was in the house. He was watching it, and I was just sitting here. To me, it was like a video game in real life, and I was just so enthralled by it. So when I first saw wrestling, I immediately loved it. I fell into it, and So when I heard that there was a kid who lived right across town from me, who had a backyard wrestling association, I jumped on the bandwagon. I got in it as fast as I could, and from there, you know, Jack Spade was born, icons were created, legacies fell, and from there it's just one thing after the other.
That's it's so fun, and I spoke with people all over the world, and kind of I've heard this story before for a lot of my British supporters, where the only wrestling they might have known is the Undertaker or a WrestleMania match. And I know I have comments here. I want to say hello to everybody. I'm going to get to you as people start coming into the congregation here tonight. But I wanted to ask you, because I never asked this to people a lot, and I was curious on your thoughts. So tell me, because I'm in New York, like I'm this city slicker, I'm this knucklehead from the center of urban plight and urban development here in the world in New York City. Although actually I'm not
Mhm.
from Manhattan. I'm actually from one of the more outer skirts, but I'm still a New Yorker, and I'm from New York City.
Yeah,
Tell me what Truman, Arkansas is like.
it's 8,000 people.
Okay.
It's small town, small town. We might be up to 10,000 now, but it's a real small town. Uh, not a lot happens out there. It's a quiet
No.
town where everybody knows everybody, and if you don't know everybody, you know somebody that does know that person. And
that's
so it's a small town, and you know, it's just a great, great, great place to grow up. I think because it's you got Jonesboro 15 minutes away to the left, and Jonesboro, it's got malls, it's got restaurants,
yeah. I've
nightclubs,
heard of
stuff like
Jonesboro.
that. And Memphis is only an hour away, so if you really want a bigger city, it's right there. It's close by anything and everything. That's why I like Truman like that. I love going there. I'd go back there right now if I could.
It sounds so much actually like where I grew up. I grew up in Brooklyn, and actually in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. And as a kid, it was kind of everybody knew one another, which for me wasn't the greatest of things, because there was a lot of people that didn't like me. Some people did, obviously,
Mhm.
but and where I live currently, it's kind of the same thing almost inside. Although it's changed a lot in the last 7 or 8 years, we lost a lot of that. But I could certainly relate to some of that. Okay, so obviously you grow up in Truman, Arkansas. You obviously see the Undertaker, and that kind of led you where you met a kid, and that led you to kind of eventually going into where we've seen you, and obviously have a lot of success on YouTube, and as a part of
Mhm.
what led to a company that you probably heard of called Resurrection Wrestling, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, indeed. I remember I thought I was done. I thought I was done, but
Why did you think you were done?
because at the time I just as you know, BCW kind of dissolved and
It
took a
is.
break, and I was just going about life. I was just living one day at a time. I thought my boots were hung up, and then that's when Ronnie Brady, the West Memphis Kid,
I know Ronnie
called me.
Brady very well. He has been on my platform. Yep, know the name well.
He calls me and he says, "Hey man, I'm giving it one more shot. I'd like you to be there with me." And like I said, when something is meant for you, it finds its way to you. No matter how hard you run from it, it finds its way to you. And that's why every time it ain't the first time I said, "Well, it's not going so good for me. I'm gonna go ahead and just sit down." And then boom, it's like right when I say that, an opportunity presents itself, and I'm lacing up the boots again, or sneakers in my case. I'm lacing up the sneakers again and going back out there in that squared circle and putting on the show, giving the people the highlight of their life, you know. And it's just my calling. I feel like it's just my calling.
I think the line that happens a lot, and I use it on this platform, and it always takes me back to the world of politics, where I obviously cut a lot of my teeth and had some success in the real world, and some success. I can't say it was massive amounts, but some success is kind of just when you think you're out, they pull you right back in. And I think that's what kind of happened. But I speak with a lot of wrestlers, whether you're in the underground, the backyard, the pro, the independent. I don't even know what it is at all at this point. To
Mhm.
me, it's all wrestling matters. And I think that that's kind of the theme. And I think once you have it in the blood, it's always going to be in you. And, going back to BCW, where you had those early moments, and obviously with Mr. Ronnie Brady, I'm sure going to get a lot into Ronnie Brady, because that's kind of the last time I
Oh
saw
yeah.
you in a ring with Ronnie Brady. We're kind of all left with what if and what happened. But I mean, when you were in those days in BCW, did you think from when the period of time where you weren't in the ring that you had to come back kind of to put, I don't know if it's closure, but more or less to go back out and do some of the things maybe you wanted to kind of finish, or maybe even, be in a ring? Because obviously those days in BCW, weren't on a ring and such.
That is true. That is true. That's and that's one thing I have noticed with a lot of underground wrestling when people don't have rings and they're taking the bumps on the ground and such. A lot of people they'll talk down and bad about those people. Oh, it looks like crap, but you put those people in the ring and they can take beautiful bumps. I've seen it plenty of times. People who are used to just wrestling on the ground or in a flipped over trampoline or whatever. Once you actually give them the tools to succeed, you'd be surprised what they can do. And that's why I always tell people, don't judge a book by its cover, because you never know what can happen. I mean, look at me. Look at me.
You know
Look
what?
at
I'm
Ronnie
so
Brady.
glad you said.
Look at Mac
I,
10.
I'm so glad you said that, because yesterday, and I want to give a big shout out to Mr. James Taylor. He had on the one and only Copper Dragon, the California Kid, and he was talking, and he said the same thing. He said, you know what? Nobody should really go out and say, oh, well, somebody wrestles on a trampoline, somebody wrestles on a mat or hard ground. And, you shouldn't go and kind of, pile on them, or, certainly talk down to them, because there's a lot of people that learned and had a lot of talent that actually eventually they were able to rise from that and have careers. And I think that that's an excellent point that you wound up making. And I mean, well, let's talk about going back in the past in BCW. And I'm curious on this question. I don't feel like I asked this enough to people, because you've obviously had experience. So I feel like I can ask
Mhm.
you this question more so than maybe some of the newer talent that have only maybe had a few years or only wrestled in a ring, that are yarders or
Mhm.
undergrounders. How do you feel from your vantage point? Backyard and underground wrestling has changed from, say, more than 10 years ago when you first stepped foot out there.
I'd say people are realizing that you don't need all the fancy stuff to make a good product. I feel like people are finally grasping that you can have a good storyline with good people and it'll be successful. Because from what I've noticed, from what my vantage point is, a lot
Talk to me.
more people are engaged about backyard and underground wrestling. A lot more people are talking about it. 'Cause when I was growing up, not a lot of people talked about it. You were hard. I was hard pressed to find people who would watch. Oh yeah, I watch backyard. I was hard pressed to find people like that.
I
But
would say the same thing. I would say absolutely the same thing. And, where I grew up, there was no, I'm in New York City,
Mhm.
although where I live, there is, backyards actually. I would say a quarter to half of the population that I grew up with had backyards, but there was no such thing as backyard wrestling. There was no thought of it, even during the early YouTube phases. There was none of
Yeah.
that. So I actually think that it's a different world in that people can find something that they want. Whereas, 10 plus years ago, there really wasn't a knowledge of backyard wrestling. There wasn't a knowledge of other people that were doing something. I know that there was certainly attempts on
Mhm.
things, and I'm sure I'll talk about that later on. But I mean, there wasn't any
Mhm.
of that really. It was just kind of trial by fire almost.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And when the professional wrestling and the indie wrestling world first got their look at backyard wrestling, it was almost like a cardinal sin. If you were a backyard wrestler,
Still
it was
is.
something you really
It
kept to
still
yourself.
is. Still is. Yep.
And but now I feel like slowly but surely it's becoming more accepted because I I wouldn't say accepted, I'll say tolerated. That's probably a better word. It's coming more tolerated. and But with tolerance comes acceptance. So, I can see
Absolutely.
in 10, 20, 30 years from now, maybe down the road, it might not I might not be wrestling then. Who knows? I might be wrestling at 100. So, but
Hey, listen, Flair is still not done technically. Ric Flair is
oh yeah,
still
that
technically
is
not
true. That is true. But I just love for wrestling to be in a wrestling world where somebody could proudly say, "Oh, I'm a backyard wrestler," and it just comes off to the point where it's just nonchalant, like, "Okay, cool, come on, get in the ring," But it's not like that just yet. I mean, in some places you'll find acceptance, but as you know, there's a lot of places where if you took a bump in the backyard, you keep it to yourself.
Oh, listen, I hear it all the time. Listen, I mean, and I'm a guy that still covers, professional and independent wrestling. So, I'm a guy that's still, and I started doing this through professional wrestling. So, I mean, I know that there's, the slick and, the certain holier than thou types. And I've already said plenty of things about that. I don't want to make that a show about that. And certainly, I want to go say hello to some people here and get them in the
Mhm,
conversation. Want to say hello to one of my buddies out there who is from the great state of Indiana, who's dabbled into some wrestling recently, Mr. Michael
mhm,
Christian. His one-time
mhm,
stepfather was a referee for the company XCW, Mr. Festus Davis. Wrestling is a love language all should understand. Clearly, I'm still trying to understand the love language, but I've certainly gotten a chance to follow wrestling, so maybe there is hope for me after all. Thank you, Michael, for coming in. A man that you know very well, Mr. Cameron Cage, who's now back in Resurrection Wrestling. I don't know if that's
mhm,
foreshadowing anything, but Mr. Cage
mhm,
certainly is owed an appearance on Sports, whereas a lot of people are. Want to say hello to my buddy, Mr. Ace Reed of the Wired Up podcast. He is also out there in the great country of Australia. So Ace is out there. What time is it out there, Ace? Is it 2:56 p.m. or is it 2:56 p.m. Australian time? Let me know. And I know it might be off 2 hours. I'm pretty sure you know who this person is. Jack Spade is my favorite, and OK the realist, or Trey the realist. I'm going to certainly pretend I never heard the first part before, though, but I will say that thank you for tuning in. I want to say hello to one of my buddies who's going to be here next Thursday, Mr. Levi McDaniel. Levi is also the general manager of the IMF, the
mhm,
Iowa Midwest Federation Wrestling Company. And of course, they have a great show coming up next weekend. We're going to be talking a lot about it on Sportswire Radio. And certainly yours truly will have a bunch of the
mhm,
guys on and put Levi into the Hall of Fame next Thursday. And I'll have something for you later on. Plus, I'll have some announcements related to Resurrection Wrestling, which you'll probably laugh when I say what it is, which will probably be kind of funny. So
okay,
maybe, and I'm
okay.
sure the audience itself will probably laugh. But okay, so obviously you have some things you've said there. So talk to me then, in a way, going back down memory lane. What were some of your favorite memories of BCW?
My favorite memory of BCW. All right, I'm gonna let y'all get a peek inside this one. Okay,
Okay, go for it.
this is the first time this story is being broadcast on the airwaves. This is the
Uh-oh.
first time.
If it's something that's controversial, I
Oh
mean,
no,
there
it's
will be.
not. It's not.
Okay, I was
It's
gonna
not.
say, because it'll get back. I'll hear from either somebody, I'll hear from Tibbs, I'll hear from Silvestri. He'll be like, hey, they'll be out there. Trust me.
Oh no. This is fine. So this is back in the BCW days.
Okay, all
I had
right. Those
first
guys weren't
started.
around. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I was the general manager, and we had a spot where I came out and I had a match restarted, and it was Ronnie and another member of the Great Divide, Zachary. They didn't like that I had restart the match, so they began to jump me, right? And this is how you know wrestling is real because believe it or not, people driving by seeing those two jump me, they called the police. So the police show up. The police show up and they're like, "What's going on? We got reports that y'all were back here beating up a black guy." And we said, "No, we explained to him what was going on and such." It was a whole misunderstanding because I don't know why, but I thought I was going to jail for some reason. I don't know why. It was just a panic reaction for me. And then I come find out they there for them. I was like, oh no, 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 they're cool, they're cool, they're cool. It's fine, it's fine. But no, that was one of my favorite memories. That's when I realized, you know what, this wrestling thing is, I love it. That was when I really fell in love with doing wrestling because in no other occupation or habit could something like that happen. You know,
You
where
know,
somebody's driving by and witnessing you perform your craft and you're doing so well that they fear for your safety and call the police.
it's so funny you said that because I've always wondered in backyard wrestling. I had on a company from North Dakota, Legendary Backyard Wrestling, and they had kind of a similar thing happen. And they explained to me what they do, and they said they try to shoot their stuff when nobody's around, and they got a trampoline, so they kind of fixed a lot of that. But I always wondered when somebody's getting attacked, like outside, if you're out like the middle of like somebody's house or outside of somebody's house, do like people drive by? Do they like freak out? I mean, even you, when you beat up Ronnie at the end of an elevation before the match at Fallout, I was kind of wondering. I was like, did anybody like actually stop and think, oh boy, what's going on there? Because the average person, I mean, we know on YouTube, obviously as wrestling fans, we know what's going on, but people in I guess reality or the real world. I don't know what you call it these days. I wish it wouldn't be reality and real world, but people would stop by and they wouldn't know what's going on. They would just see, two people or multiple people just beating each other up. So does that ever, like, you ever worried about that in other times? Because I always wondered about that, especially after what you did to Ronnie, just beating him up randomly before your match.
And honestly, I was never really worried about it because for one, I knew I wasn't actually doing anything wrong. So
Okay.
I'm cool now. And number two, get a little camera magic, post a video on YouTube, you're beating this guy up and the police show up. Hey, that's video magic right there. You know what I'm saying? That's something you could post. It's gonna get a lot of views, it's gonna get a lot of attention because it's going to make people think for a second, hold on, is this real? And in all honesty, I think that's how wrestling should go back to. You know, people should be asking themselves, is wrestling real? Because when you thought wrestling was real, it was just a certain magic to it. At least it was for me. There
I
was just a
agree with
certain
you
magic to it.
1,000%. That's why I always say here on this platform, we don't treat it like it's predetermined. We don't treat it like it's scripted. To me, I believe wrestling is a form of sports. I believe it's something that we take very seriously on this platform. And thank you very much for saying that because I treat what all our wrestlers do basically to the equivalent of athletes here. And I have a
That's right.
lot of people now that are starting to comment. So let me get to some comments because I know it. I've also even got a request from somebody that even wants to say something to you on the camera, but I'm going to wait for that for a little while. But first of all, Cameron Cage wants to say, waiting on the Spade return. Now, you knew you were going to get this because there's also some other people that are
Yeah.
basically saying some other things. So, I mean, he returned not too long ago also in Resurrection Wrestling. So, I mean, we can save that for later. We can certainly save that for later, but he's
No,
obviously
I can go
looking.
ahead and address it.
All right, whatever you want.
Spade is going to return. Spade is going to return when I feel like I am in the peak shape of my life. Because right now I'm working on my craft and I feel like I'm doing some really incredible things. And when I come back, it's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And that's an invitation out to anybody and everybody. When Jack Spade returns, I might come back on your show. Who knows? Who knows? I might come back on TBW. I might take out their world champion. I might go to Resurrection and take out their world champion. I might go and pull somebody out of retirement, give them a title, and then beat them just to take it.
Oh well, there's actually a guy that was in TBW and wrestled in Resurrection Wrestling that I guess is sort of retired and not retired. I don't know if you were mentioning that person, but certainly that's a name that everybody's waiting for. When is he coming back to the ring? And that's an open-ended question. But I got a lot more people that want to say things to you now all of a sudden. So let me
Okay.
get to them before I follow up because now you sort of open the floodgates here. Smoke a blunt, Jack. So somebody wants you to smoke a blunt. You could if you want to on the air. I mean, if you want to, you're welcome to. I mean, I won't say no. I mean, I personally don't smoke, but if you want to, you can. The
No,
only thing
no,
I
I
tell guests, no, the only thing I ever tell guests is if you
feel-
if you can avoid vulgarity, but other than that, everything's free game. But speaking
Oh,
before I
I
get to
understand. I love the invitation, but I don't break the law on camera. It's illegal here.
Okay, fair enough. No, listen, I don't know. Everybody's different. First of all, I want to say hello to the Resurrection Wrestling World Champion. Speaking of champions, Mr. Dustin Alexander, and he also says we want you. So, what do you want to? What do you think
Of
about
course.
Dustin Alexander these days? What do you think about him? Obviously, since we last saw you in Resurrection Wrestling, I mean, he's
Mhm,
defeated Jimmy Controversy, he's squared off with Russell Cooper. He's
mhm.
obviously taken the title. He's obviously been the man right now. And, like, what do you think of Dustin Alexander right now?
Right now, I think Dustin Alexander is doing everything that I've always thought he was capable of. He is a talented young individual. He has drive, he has heart, he has passion. With that being said, that puts a really big target on his back. Because when you're the guy who's coming up and rising fast, that makes other people jealous. That makes other people upset, angry. Now, I'm not saying that he's in any danger, but when you're going up like that and you got two titles, you got to be careful because someone, well, actually, double the people are coming after you because you have two titles. So that's so I just say that to Dustin. Just watch out, because someone might be gunning for you. Somebody might be gunning for you.
It's a lot harder to be the one that's being hunted rather than the one that's chasing, no?
That is correct. That is correct because you never know what's going to happen. You know, and then we have when you got the title, what you got to understand is this: you're not just saying you're the best. You're actively saying that I'm better than you. When you have that title and every time you raise it above your head, I know because I've been in the back watching somebody raise the title above their head, and I'm just thinking, I could take it. And truly, when you're in that position, you're apt to do anything. Who knows? You might catch him backstage, which I've done before. I've also been caught backstage myself coming after a match and somebody catches you from behind. And truly, in this world of wrestling, there's only one way to declare yourself, and that's to pick a fight. And when
Well,
you're the champion,
and wrestling is a dog eat dog competition. At the end of the
that's
day,
right.
everybody's out for themselves. I mean, you know it better than anybody. Obviously, congregation, you had the brotherhood with Ronnie,
Yeah.
but you still obviously wanted that championship from him. I mean, so at the end of the day, if you're not in it for yourself, you're in the wrong thing.
You're in the wrong business.
Wrestling's not basketball or football that are team sports, right? This is
Mhm,
wrestling. This is not a team sport. I mean, you might be as a tag team technically, but even that, at the end of the day, there's really
mhm.
you're here for yourself.
That's what a lot of people don't understand about wrestling is that you only need someone until they're no longer beneficial. Because in this weird, wacky world of wrestling, when someone's not being beneficial to you, they start dragging you down, whether they want to or not. It's just something that's
They
inevitable
win.
and it can't be stopped. They will unintentionally begin to drag you down. Now, when that happens, you have two choices. One, you can sit back and just let them continue to drag you down further and further and further, or you can cut the bad fruit off the tree and make the sacrifice. And that's what I did to Ronnie Brady. I no longer wanted him associated with the congregation. I no longer wanted him associated with me. That's why I cut the fruit off the tree. Now he might have came out on top at the end of this little battle, but the war is not over because I'm waiting and I'm watching. And when the time is right, I'm gonna strike just like a viper, Mr.
And
Brady.
it's funny you said that as we're speaking here, of course, with the icon himself, Jack Spade. Of course, Jack Spade, decorated career in the world of backyard underground wrestling from BCW to Resurrection Wrestling. He was one half of the longest reigning tag team champions in Resurrection Wrestling history. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling. And if you're here for the first time, hit that sub button on YouTube at Sportswire Radio 6570. But if you think about it, maybe you did come out on top, and I'm going to tell you why. Even though you didn't win that heavyweight championship, Ronnie Brady had a lot of problems after you left him high and dry. We saw what happened with him and the Wild Beast Adrian Prince. It finally caught
Indeed,
up to him. We saw the
indeed.
pressure of him in that World Heavyweight Championship. Prince kept coming at him. and he don't have the title no more. So maybe in a way, if I were to tell you, even though you came up short in that last man standing match, at the end of the day, the Icon Jack Spade, you did come out on top because it was the beginning of the problems, or maybe even the beginning of the end of the West Memphis Kid, Ronnie Brady.
Oh yes, and that was so wonderful to watch. I mean, the thing about Adrian Prince is they call him the Beast for a reason.
I'm aware.
He's like he, he'll just keep coming and coming and coming and coming, and it doesn't matter how hard you hit him. It doesn't matter what you do. All you can do is slow him down. It's nearly like he's inevitable, and that's what I like about Adrian Prince, because he shows up, he shows out, and he goes home. He comes to win, and that's exactly what he does.
Absolutely. No, listen.
Exactly.
There's no question about it. And Ronnie Brady was kind of the odd man out there. I have a lot of people. Couple of things. I want to get to somebody very quickly outside of Resurrection Wrestling. One of my buddies, Mr. Big Tex, of course, of Dominant Breakout Wrestling. I was actually a part of their programming this past Thursday, and I'm waiting for Apocalypse to air on their YouTube channel. If I missed it, let me know. Big Tex, I thought it was going to air this Saturday, but I'm sure maybe you'll see it later on in the week. But he says he's a little sore. Hope you feel better. Obviously, Big Tex is a very big guy, so if he's sore, it's probably because he's still recovering from his World Extreme Championship match against his mentor, Jackson Snow. And thank you, Big Tex, for tuning in. I also want to say hello to this individual who I think I have an idea it is. The FOF King is here. How you doing? Nice to see you as well. I want to say hello to one of my buddies, Mr. Hillbilly Tilly from the great state of Alabama. That's right, Alabama. Not going to bring up Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, Arkansas here on Sportswire Radio, but I do want to say Hillbilly Tilly did a great job at the AWL ROEW Showdown, which was a great show, which you can catch on the Alliance Wrestling League's YouTube channel, which Hillbilly Tilly is the general manager for it. He is using my hashtag All Wrestling Matters. He is my only general manager in the Hall of Fame, and I think that's for a reason. And I love Hillbilly Tilly, and he has been one of the guys that I've been using his quote. True wrestlers do it for the love of this sport of wrestling. You and everybody else that comes on my platform are the examples of that. Want to say hello to one of my other Hall of Famers who will be here next Thursday night, Nicholas Crenson. He is not the new Messiah anymore, but he wants to say evening. And I'm going to break it here because you kind of had a few things to say, and I'm going to say it because get ready, ladies and gentlemen, because we got breaking news here coming up this Wednesday, making his debut on Sportswire Radio. From Resurrection Wrestling, the man that once upon a time owned a portion of the Pride Wrestling Federation. I am talking about none other than Xavier Thorne. Xavier Thorne is here on Sportswire Radio Live. He is going to be here 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Xavier Thorne. And boy, Xavier Thorne with a microphone. If you thought Anthony Steele, if you thought James Taylor was going to be deadly with the microphone, you wait until Xavier Thorne is live on Sportswire Radio. I mean, listen, this one is going to be get the popcorn ready, get the chair back, get the gaming chair out, because Xavier Thorne, he is going to have a mouthful to say, and he's already got a mouthful to say. He says, Jack Spade, allow me to reintroduce myself. I am the standout Xavier Thorne, and maybe, just maybe it's time we talked about that spot in the congregation. Spade faced me for the GWC Battle Zone World Championship, which he's back on top with. I mean, Xavier Thorne. I mean, what do you want to say on Xavier Thorne?
Xavier Thorne is a thorn in my side.
I knew you were going to say that because everybody tells me that.
Xavier Thorne. Hey, look, he's Xavier Thorne, man. He's a
interesting guy. Very
he
interesting
can come
guy.
to the barbecue. He can come to the barbecue. He can come to the barbecue. He would be fun
at a barbecue. No, he would be very fun at a barbecue. Memorial Day is 1 month from today. I would think Xavier Thorne with the fireworks and the hot dogs and the hamburgers. I mean, I think I would want to invite him to a barbecue, Xavier Thorne. I mean, he would be the standout of the barbecue. No question about that.
I'll tell you this. He makes me laugh. I tell you what, Thorne, if you want to join the congregation, I got a spot for you, but not as a competitor. You can be the choir boy. You can be the congregation choir boy. And we'll get you a little fancy robe, and we'll get the little red sash for you, and you can go up there and you can sing for me as I come out. You can sing him a theme song for me. How about that? Payment is $2.50 a week and a cigarette, and we don't do no dental, no insurance, nothing like that. That's what you get.
Well, after all,
So if
wrestling.
you're interested in that, let me know, Xavier Thorne. So and send me what size you wear, so I know what size to get your robe in.
After all, wrestling's a 1099, so obviously you couldn't give him dental and health, and you couldn't give him all those benefits because it's a 1099. But
Exactly.
also, at least you could say from your standpoint, Mr. Spade, that you didn't offer, let's say, Mr. Thorne as a spot as the mascot for the congregation. At least being a choir boy is better than being a
Yeah,
mascot, no?
yeah. I mean, because as the choir boy, you get to come out before me. You get to warm the crowd up for me. That's an honorable spot. You
Yeah,
know
I
what? I
remember.
tell you what.
I'm a reverend. I actually remember as a kid when I would go to church, and you'd have the choir, the church choir, you'd have the lecturer, and you'd have everybody come out, and that was the more entertaining part. And
Mhm.
Xavier Thorne would be again. That's why he's the standout. He'd be the standout of the choir group.
Speaking of which, you want to know a little fun fact about the congregation?
I want to know anything you
Both
want.
of its members, both of its members are ordained pastors. Me and Ronnie Brady are both ordained pastors.
What a small world. What a small world we are. What a
Yes, we're
small
both
world.
ordained pastors because I wanted to be the pastor at his wedding, and I wanted him to be the pastor at mine. But I told him I was going to dress up like Batman for it.
Well, it's funny because I actually have to at least make a cameo in a wedding in a few days as my mother is getting remarried. Don't ask my opinion on that, but I actually was kind of asked if I would actually do the honors, and I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to go that far. But yeah, that's interesting. But I could certainly, I'm sure, save some of those comments from the time. But I got a lot of people that want to say a lot of things now. So let me try to figure out. Let me go to a couple things here. First, let me come back to Xavier Thorne. Jack Spade, you are hell. I'll talk to my board of directors about you facing me for my Battle Zone World Championship. Hashtag 304 days and counting. The reign continues. I'll be sure to bring you up Wednesday night, I suppose.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you this. If you want to just give me the title, I'll take it. I got no problem with that. And if it's you that I'm wrestling, then you really just might as well give it to me. Because for one, Thorne, I'm stronger, I'm faster, I'm better, I'm smarter, I'm prettier, and there's nothing that you can do to stop me from taking that title.
Well, I mean, you got me
So I
sold.
tell you
You
what.
got, you got me sold. I mean, I'm going to have Mr. Thorne on Wednesday night, and I'm sure he'll give me a different side of the story. I got a lot of people that
Oh,
want to
I'm
say a
sure.
number of things. Let me try to get to. Let me go first to Cameron Cage. Cameron Cage, I feel like I need a rematch with him on Sportswire. No, it's a good thing. We like to have him back. But he says that he wants a rematch with you still. And what do you say to that? I mean, another person that, wants unfinished business with you.
Well, they say when you burn enough bridges, the only direction you can move is forward. And that's my philosophy in life. So, you know what, Cameron Cage, I usually don't do repeats. But since you were nice enough to get in the ring with me and get beat down so I can get my first national title, I will give you a rematch, Mr. Cage. I will give you that rematch. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take you and I'm going to make you wish that you had never come out of retirement. Because Jack Spade, the same thing I just told Xavier Thorne, I'm stronger, I'm faster, and I'm better. And it's just that on that. That's just that on that.
Hmm.
So I'm open for it. I'm open for it. In fact, don't even gotta ask. Consider Jack Spade a gladiator. When I make my return, I'm just gonna step into the middle of the Coliseum. And anybody and everybody who wants a piece of Jack Spade, all you gotta do is ask. That's all you gotta do is ask. I'll deliver ass whoopings from
I
all
gotta
the
feel
way
like
from
tonight you're
California
opening the.
to New
You are
York.
Mr. Icon, you are opening the floodgates tonight because I think people hearing that they're saying, you know what, more of that is coming your way because Mr. Roddy Alpha also says can't leave him out.
Actually, I can, Mr. Alpha. I saw you in your performance, and I gotta say, You look like a watered down version of Neff. But I just said,
I had him on
since
Sportswire once
I'm
upon a
throwing my
time.
name, yeah, I saw that episode too. But I tell you what, Mr. Alpha, you want some, come get some. And I'll show you that a rising star has nothing on a long term veteran. Okay. I've been in this business for a long time, Mr. Alpha. I know all the tricks, I know all the trades. I know everything that they have taught you plus some, Mr. Alpha. I am the icon Jack Spade. The fact that you call yourself an alpha, it really I find it insulting. So I tell you what, just maybe, when Jack Spade makes his return to Resurrection Wrestling, maybe I'll be coming after you.
Hmm.
In fact, I'll put everyone in Resurrection on notice. All of you can get it. Jack Spade fears no man or woman. I'm
Hmm.
an equal opportunist when it comes to the one, two, threes. You understand?
Yeah, no,
So
I
if you want
understand that.
some,
Yeah, that's a universal count.
come get some. To quote John Cena, you want some, come get some.
Well, tonight's as I said to introduce a lively one, and it is definitely not disappointing. Let me say hello to Steven Silvestri, the general manager of Resurrection Wrestling. He's got a lot to say, and I'm gonna go. I know we ain't seen eye to eye, Spade, but I'm glad to hear from you again. Remember, you still owe Ronnie Brady a beatdown, and that's where we left off. He said he also wants to see how you were doing. There you go.
I just want to say that I am glad that Steven Silvestri has gotten promoted to the general manager of Resurrection. I hope that they actually make him full-time general manager so that he doesn't have to referee anymore because that
I knew
man
you
is
were going there.
blind.
I knew you were going
He
there.
is blind. Every time he gets a chance to mess over Jack Spade, he takes it. It takes him 40 seconds to count a three for Jack Spade.
Well, you
So
wouldn't
I
be
tell you
happy
what,
right now, and you wouldn't be happy with Ref Carter and TBW, kind of our sister company with Resurrection. And Ref Carter, I mean, I've
mm,
watched matches on TBW recently where Ref Carter, I mean, I don't even know what he was doing. So there seems to be a referee problem this year in the world of backyard underground wrestling. We have another company in North Dakota that they just got rid of their own referee. I mean,
mm,
it seems like refereeing is a big problem this year in the scene. I don't understand why. Shouldn't it be a simple job to, if you see something, you do something and count to three. I don't get it this year.
oh yes, it is very simple. And it takes a special kind of moron to mess it up. Now, I will tell you this Steven's best quality as a referee is that he's as apt to get in their way as he is to get in mine. That's the only good part about Steven being a referee. Other than that, full time general manager, I'm all for it because Steven Silvestri does his best to mess over Jack Spade. And you can go back into the records and see it. It's out there looking at you right in the face every time, every time.
I've heard this from people that have come on that work in Resurrection. I've heard a lot of the same things. Let me get to some more comments here. Better not forget the cigarette thorn. Damn, bro, cooked thorn. You cooked thorn. Also, we have here. Let me see what else. We want Cage versus Spade. We may get that. Who knows? It seemed that would be the case.
That's
Okay.
incorrect. It's Spade versus Cage. You always put the icon's name first. So how about you, Mrs. Albright? Just go ahead and rewrite that comment entirely.
Okay, so I'll actually do the honors for you. We want Spade versus Cage. How about that?
There we go. Now I
Oh,
can do that. That's
all right, all right, all right. Fair enough. Mr. Thorne wants to say, fun fact: Spade was the longest reigning IC champion. I don't think you're ready to embrace the standout. Called you an old man, by the way. You've been out of the game for a while, so I think you should join the Thorns.
okay. Let me unpackage that for a minute.
I
Uh,
was I was figuring you'd do something there.
okay. For one, I will never join any group with the word supremacy in it.
Fair
That's
play.
suspect, Mr. Thorne.
Good point.
Number two. Number two. I'm pretty sure he's older than me. I am 99% sure Xavier Thorne is older than me. In fact, I am 100% sure that Xavier Thorne is older than me because he's the same age as Ronnie.
Okay, all
They
right.
went to
I'm not
school
going there.
together. So if I'm an old man, then I guess we both in the nursing home then, Thorne.
So I guess we'll have to pull out the episode of Nitro one day where it was in they had a nursing home. It was Flair, it was Scott Hall, and a bunch of other people. So maybe that's where you and Thorne will be like 50 years from now.
I'm supposed. Hey, if there's ever a nursing home to go to, it's the one with Flair and Scott Hall in it. I'll tell you that right now. I'd go to that nursing home.
I
I'd go
hope
to
to make
it every
it
day.
into a nursing home one day, but that's we'll have to see. But okay, let's see here. I got some more comments. I got a bunch of them, as a matter of fact. Bro, really said that about the Fader Fortune briefcase holder. I think you're talking about Roddy Alpha. That's right, correct. Thank you for reminding. Obviously, we saw this segment at the last show, obviously, at Fader Fortune from Dustin Alexander. Checked it out on the
Mm-hmm.
Resurrection Wrestling YouTube page. My old buddy Jimmy Controversy is also on the show. Xavier
Mm-hmm.
Thorne, yes, was there. He wrestled. Drake Gold Dragon was there. Many friends of the platform
Mm-hmm.
were there. And also, Mr. Thorne wants to say we're gonna need some IV fluids and a stretcher for old Spade here. So where do we come from with IV fluids? Where do we get the idea of IV fluids here on Sportswire?
I guess he think I'm dehydrated. I guess I don't know where he's getting his information, but I got me some Mountain Dew, so I don't need no IV fluids.
Well, I guess speaking of Mountain Dew, that's obviously Mac 10's drink of choice, and I was famously telling you
Yes, sir.
off the air that once upon a time I was drinking a Mountain Dew about 7 years ago, and I was drinking it, and the girl was like, "Well, your sperm count's going to be lower for drinking Mountain Dew," and I still proceeded to drink my Mountain Dew, and that's probably why I'm on Sportswire Radio right now live. But that's a different time for a different conversation, and I'm going to certainly move on because Mr. Silvestri would like to say, Thorne, Spade will put you 6 feet under, no IV or stretcher needed. And I may actually have some room across the street because I live across the street from a cemetery. So there you go. And yes, I did see the attack on Jacoby, and I did see Jacoby in a sling, and I saw Jacoby looking at you with Fader Fortune. Yes, I did see that. We will talk about it on Wednesday show. So yes, I sure did. Speaking of people that have not been on here in a while, the boat Neff is here, and he just gives you a prayer emoji there. Anything you want to say
Hey,
about Neff?
the boat is the goat. The boat is the goat.
What did you think
We can
about
just leave it at that.
what did you think about him coming up short against a man that you have some history with in D'Angelo LaFlame? And maybe it's a good segue for me to ask you someone, Mr. Neff, and someone, Mr. LaFlame, who's really he's been a big topic of conversation, figuratively and literally. He's become a hot take in the whole underground and backyard wrestling scene, period.
You see, Neff is a great competitor, but
He was the world heavyweight champion.
that there's something about D'Angelo LaFlame that's just different. Okay, if you haven't seen him in person, you might not know it. The camera don't catch it so good, but in person, the man has freakishly long arms and legs. Okay, they're like 12 feet long. It's crazy. All right, so it's real hard to get close to him. It's hard to get in there and get your punches in. It's hard to grab a hold to him because he can hit you from corner to corner. He can do a coast to coast standing up. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's a talent that I
He's,
really
he's
feel that's
talented.
totally different.
He's talented. He's energetic, and it's like he can draw off the energy of the crowd. D'Angelo LaFlame is a freak of nature, and it's hard. It's hard for anybody who's going up against him. And I tell you this right now. That's probably the strongest untrained wrestler I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
Untrained.
Are you surprised that he's become this hot commodity where he's kind of in a way, and I say this often on the platform, and you obviously are a veteran, you have a lot of experience, probably more than most that are even watching right now. Are you surprised that he's kind of become, I don't know if the right term is to say the next Jack Delta, or kind of the next in line of the person or wrestler that is kind of really in demand right now? Are you surprised, maybe in a better way to go back to my original point, that he's become in D'Angelo the Flame this all of a sudden hot commodity for almost every other company to have?
No, not at all. Not surprised at
Okay.
all. It's not surprising to me at all. In fact, if it did surprise you, you weren't watching closely enough. Because anyone who was firsthand experienced, who was there seeing him get on this rise, it was highly predictable. I mean, he had the crowd behind him, he has the energy, he has the flair, he has the pop. I mean, it's like you put all the pieces together and the puzzle it fits. He has all the pieces and he's using them correctly, and that's why he's D'Angelo LaFlame.
Oh, listen, what he did, he's already appeared, and obviously he's been a big part of TBW, and we saw him in a company in Alabama, the Alliance Wrestling League. He showed up there unannounced, and he even defended the Resurrection Wrestling Internet Championship in that company. And,
Hmm.
every company that comes on Sportswire, his name comes up. It's a big right now.
Yeah, and it's not surprising. It's not surprising. Every now and again you see somebody who just has a knack for the sport, who has just untapped potential, and that's a D'Angelo LaFlame. The only difference is he's starting to tap into that potential, and you can see it's skyrocketing him to the next level. In
Let me
fact,
ask, yeah.
I am a firm believer, and you can quote me on this. This time in 2 years, I guarantee you, if he keeps doing what he's doing, how he's doing it, D'Angelo LaFlame will be a household name. He'll be known from coast to coast, and I stand by it.
I believe you, and I support him, and I have no doubt because I have a lot of faith in D'Angelo LaFlame, and that's why every company that I have on this platform, I think I do anything I can to support him and anybody else to come to this platform. But let me ask you the question, and I have a lot of comments. People really want to talk to you, and we're gonna let more people join the conversation
Mhm.
shortly. But when you were there in Resurrection, you can say whatever you want on this. It's just kind of breaking the fourth wall a little bit. But did you ever give him advice?
Well, I gave I can't quote exactly if I said anything to him, but I tried to advise all the people at Resurrection. If I seen something that they were doing wrong, I tried to correct it. As I could. But with D'Angelo, I mean, the kid's hard to give advice to because he's doing a lot all the stuff right.
Oh,
He's hard to give advice to because, truth be told, he really doesn't need it. He might think he does, but he doesn't need it. He he just needs to keep doing what he's doing, how he's doing it in a way that feels right to him. Because I mean, it's gotten him this far.
I think it's
He
very important to support him because what he's doing right now is again very similar, I think, to what guys like Jack Delta, guys like Anthony Steele, guys like once upon a time Jackson Law, Aaron Blaze. There are others that have
Mhm.
done this, but what he's doing is he's putting dream matches and he's helping really promote backyard wrestling and underground wrestling as a whole. We need people like him because there's a lot of people, and again, I'm not just saying anything that I haven't said on here, which again, God bless anybody, but there's certain people that, certain companies there, they see the same matches all the time. It's the same predicaments, and yeah, we're going to work, but they really aren't, to me, a part of the community. I think
Mhm.
we here in backyard and underground wrestling are a community. And I heard Mr. Dragon speak about this last night, and it kind of made sense to me because I really feel like what I've done in my career in the 4 years I've been doing wrestling coverage is to try to
Mhm.
build and support a community. And what this man is doing, D'Angelo LaFlame, whether he's a champion or not, is he's helping the backyard underground wrestling community by leaps and bounds because he's giving people an opportunity to see somebody that they wouldn't have seen or wouldn't have known. And that now helps Resurrection Wrestling. That helps every company that he goes to. So I feel like in a lot of ways, if this is what he wants to do, we need to support him
Mhm.
in every shape, form whatsoever because he's really going out there and promoting this sport of backyard and underground
Mhm.
wrestling as we know it in this community.
hmm and that's what they say. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. It's helping him, but at the same time, it's helping us, and it's not just even helping just Resurrection. It's helping everybody because
For
who
everybody.
knows? Who knows? We might go do a show in, let's say, Kentucky, and some kid or some guy comes and he watches the show and he's like, "Huh, man, I really like this kind of stuff." And we come back to Mississippi or Arkansas or wherever. Well, that guy's up there. He just saw a fantastic wrestling show, and that we just opened him up to the world of independent wrestling. The first thing he's going to do is try to find more wrestling shows in his area. The first thing he's going to do is try to find maybe even a backyard wrestling company to watch on YouTube, because for some reason people always support things that are closer to where they live.
For
People are
sure.
always behind their state. So you never know what could be inspired from one action. Somebody, just the right person getting seen. It's like the
Absolutely.
butterfly effect, where they say, where they say,
That's certainly the case.
yeah, go ahead, though.
Absolutely. I just wanted people, if you're here right now, go follow Jack Spade on Instagram. Check out his music in the past. Go support this man. Go support Resurrection Wrestling. I want to actually, matter of fact, I'm going to put their link up here right below. Go support them. Go support every wrestling company that comes on this platform here. I'm actually going to put some links up here. I'm going to give you
Mhm.
something in about 10 minutes. I actually have something to give to you for everything that you've done for this sport. So I've got something that I want to give to you, but I've got comments that I want to give to you. I've got
Okay.
a ton of people here. First of all, was that you in the Jinx suit months ago? Don't confirm or deny.
What you think Jack Spade would put on a jinx suit?
He actually asked you
I'm
twice, by the way. I'm going to
I'm not
say,
I'm not a child. I'm a grown man. I'm not a child. Okay. Why would I go out there in a bright red suit, and that don't even make no, that stuff don't exist, man. I don't even think Jinx is a real person. To be honest, I think it's
I'm
like
not going to ask any further
I think it's
comments
like
because you're the
mm,
icon. I don't want to get the icon, certainly in a foul mood. I'm gonna read some of the Xavier Thorne comments because I have a lot of people that want to talk to you, and obviously we're here live. Very honored to have on Mr. Jack Spade himself. And all I'm gonna say is this from Mr. Thorne: I'm a different animal now, and if you head my way, I'm gonna make you embrace. I'm sorry.
mhm.
I love Xavier Thorne, by the way. I'm looking forward to Wednesday night. That's
I
all I'm
mean,
going to say.
he,
Now Xavier Thorne is doing predictably what he usually does. Now he wants Dustin Alexander, but I'm going to move away from that. Um, uh, I suppose I'm going to let Dustin Alexander ask this question to you. I mean, would you like to say anything? You can say
well,
nothing.
I will tell you this. I like Spooderman. I like him
Okay,
because
okay.
Spider-Man is Jack Spade's favorite superhero. So if you ever want to get on Jack Spade's good side, just do something Spider-Man related. So I like the fact that Spooderman is out. And actually, if you want to know a fun fact,
We're live.
Spooderman's theme song, Spectacular Spider-Man, is the theme song of my favorite version of Spider-Man. So not only is he a copy of my favorite superhero, he's a copy of my favorite version of my favorite superhero. So if you mess with Spooderman, you're messing with Jack Spade, and I'm coming for you like white on rice.
Well, I'll make you chuckle. I want to say this. You're going to probably be like, wow, he really reached out. I actually did like the Spider Man animated cartoon series on Fox years ago. It was back, this
Mm,
had to have been, I was a little kid. This was like in the 90s, the mid to late 90s, when back when,
mhm,
Fox and other, networks actually played cartoons. And I always liked the theme
mhm,
song for whatever reason. It was like, dan, and it was almost like a very, upbeat rocking version. I was into the show after that. But speaking of people though that like to
mhm,
say hello, it's a man you've technically shared a locker room with on a few occasions. The Nemesis James Taylor. You'd make certainly a great interview in the Nemesis sessions. He just had on Mr. Copper Dragon himself. He says, "What's up,
mhm.
Spade?" And he says, it would be damn sure interesting to see a match between us one day. It's a good question. Jack Spade and James Taylor, two veterans. I mean, what do you say on that?
Only got one question, man. What took you so long? You know, Jack Spade is when the time is right and the stars align. Jack Spade will be there in that ring, and
Okay.
James Taylor will be on the other side, and it'll be the icon versus the nemesis. The unstoppable force versus the immovable object. I mean, this is the modern day Hulk Hogan versus Macho Man here. That'll be history in the making. This will be iconic. In fact, who knows? That just might be my first match back. I mean, the possibilities are endless for Jack Spade because when you are in a position that I'm in, you can do anything you want. You can go where you want. You can do what you need to do to make yourself stand out like you need to stand out in this weird, wacky world of wrestling. You know,
It is
and that's
a very wacky world.
so. Who knows? Who knows? I just tell you this: the next move that Jack Spade makes will be a big move. In fact, it just might shake the entire world of wrestling. It
Oh,
just
you
might
know what?
shake
I
the
mean, I
entire
have no
world.
doubts about that. I don't have any doubts about that. But there is somebody that's going to have a groundbreaking or breaking in the conversation, that a man you know very well, that you have a lot of history with, and certainly tons of unfinished business left, more than anybody else. That is the West Memphis Kid, Ronnie Brady.
Ronnie Brady.
Yes, Ronnie
I
Brady.
heard you. I heard you call yourself what was it now? Icon Slave. In fact, if you go to redbubble.com and you go to the Resurrection store and
I
you
have
scroll down to Ronnie Brady's merch, and since you're on the way, go ahead and get some other stuff too. But if you scroll down to Ronnie Brady's merch, you'll see a beautiful image with the words inscribed on it, Icon Slayer. I just want to let you know that I am honored that the victory over me meant so much to you that you had to shout it out to the world because you knew you did something that you will probably never do again in your life, and that's stand over me with your hand raised. It won't happen again. It will not happen again. And you just wait because it doesn't matter where I go. If I go to California and wrestle, if I go to Wisconsin and wrestle, if I go to New York and wrestle, it doesn't matter where I go or what I'm doing. I need you, my brother, to keep the eyes in the back of your head wide open because I'm always near. And it doesn't matter what you think or what you heard. Act as if I'm always right around the corner, Mr. Brady. Act as if I'm always right around the corner. I want you to wake up in the middle of the night in cold sweats and look out the window because you heard somebody say, Jack, Jack, because it was me.
Well, I only ask one thing. If you do wrestle in New York by some chance, let me know so I can watch you in the ring and do what you do. I can meet you. So let me know if you wrestle in New York because I'd actually love to see that. But okay,
Oh,
James.
I would love that too. I would love that too. And in fact, I'm speaking it into existence because I know here soon, when everything falls into place for old Jack Spade, that a door will be open for me across this whole nation. In fact, I ain't, I'm okay. I'm gonna let you in on a secret.
Well, are you
In
sure?
fact,
Because we're live on Sportswire right now. Because
we are
you
live
know
on
right now there's a
Sportswire.
lot of. I have 133 people watching this right now. So
We are live on Sportswire, and let it be known that you heard it here first. I'm in the talks with some very big names, and you just might see Jack Spade somewhere that you never thought you would see him. And we just gonna let that sit in the pot and stew.
you know what, ladies and gentlemen, forget about all the talk about D'Angelo LaFlame going to this place and that place. Forget about the fact that Jack Delta has wrestled in every company. Forget about the fact that Anthony Steele has wrestled in every company. Forget about the fact that Omen Black and Soldier GP have wrestled in every company. Forget about the fact that Aaron Blaze is out there somewhere or Jackson Law once upon a time. Forget about all of that stuff. Jake Matthews now wants to return to again. Forget about all that because we just got breaking news on Sportswire Radio, where all wrestling matters here, that the icon himself, Jack Spade, is saying that there's going to be somewhere big that you won't see coming, and that's where he's going to be in a ring next. So you know what, Ronnie Brady? Forget about it. Xavier Thorne, go focus on something else. If you're anybody else out there, this is going to be one that you need to follow Jack Spade on his Instagram for. And I'm going to pull his Instagram up here in a few minutes. And we have here, speaking of people that want to say hello, Mr. Anthony Steele wants to say hello. He says, how you been, man? Anthony Steele wants to say hello. You know that name? Because I think a lot of people know that name, Anthony Steele. You know him?
Yeah, that name it rings a bell. It rings a
Ring the
bell.
bell. You
It
think
definitely
about
does
it?
ring a
Yeah.
bell.
And hell froze
Man,
over a
Anthony
couple
Steele.
weeks ago because he was in a
Yeah,
photo with Wicked J, with Drake
yeah,
Goldberg and D'Angelo LaFlame.
yeah,
I guess you never know in wrestling, huh?
yeah. I mean, wow. I mean, you have a better chance of getting a picture of Dude Love standing next to Mankind. I mean, that's how mind blowing that was.
I've heard it here on my platform. I've heard Anthony say things. We've had things here with Resurrection guys. Don't mention Anthony. We saw what happened with Anthony and TBW and James, but forget about it.
Mhm.
It seems like I must, you know what? I must have been seeing things, but no, it was right
Mm.
before my very eyes. And the guys were all like, hi. It was like,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah,
okay. That was interesting.
mm. Yeah. That definitely was. That was interesting. I will say this. I suppose it's a good thing that the bridge is supposedly being mended. I try not to
I
get
hope so,
involved with
because you
that.
know what? I got to be honest real quick. I hope the
Mhm.
bridges should be mended. Because you know what?
Yeah,
I'll be honest.
yeah.
I want to see Anthony wrestle in Resurrection. I would love to see Anthony in TBW. Now, I'm not going to go down that road because it's what it was. But if we can
Mhm.
see what happens with Anthony back in Resurrection, I mean, there's a lot of people that would benefit. I would love to see D'Angelo and Anthony. I would love to see Gold Dragon and Anthony. I'd love to see Alexander and Anthony. There's a lot of possibilities. I'd love to see it happen.
I'm just going to be that guy, and I'm going to go there. I want to see Anthony Steele versus Antonio Platinum. I'm just saying
Why
right there.
not?
I want to see that match. I want to see that match. I want to see that match, and I want it to be vengeful and retribution. I want to see it. I want to see it. I'm just saying that'll be the perfect way to make it come full circle. That'll be the perfect way to make it come full circle. I feel that'll be poetic. That's the word. It'll be poetic,
Poetic
and I want to
Justice,
see
by
it.
the way. Once upon a time, it was a movie starring Janet Jackson and Tupac Shakur, and who would have thought that would have happened, right? But you just never know out there. I want to
Exactly.
say hello to, by the way, I got to give a big shout out to a hardcore legend, a man that he is here. What an honor it is to have him here, Mr. Doc Holliday. If you don't know who Doc Holliday is, Doc Holliday is one of the greatest hardcore underground wrestlers. This man has been at it. I mean, we're talking about a long time. To have him even here
Mm,
to say hello, I mean, Doc
mm,
Holliday is on par. In fact, he's been more hardcore easily than our buddy Jimmy Controversy and
mm.
certainly hardcore and Obey and all those hardcore guys. Doc Holliday was at it first, and Doc, to be here, Doc, I want to say thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all that you do, and hope I can get you on Sportswire sometime. So there's
If
Mr. Doc.
that's the case, from one icon to another, good evening, Doc Holliday.
Doc Holliday is an absolute legend. In fact, he's such a legend that GTS legend, Rad Dad Bradley Belmont, was like, wow, Doc
Mhm.
Holliday. You know Doc Holliday. And I was like, yes, I do. James Taylor wants to still bring back, though. I remember a time getting in the ring with two goofballs that was dancing around and then randomly got a stunner from me because they tried to attack me, which was, by the way, fun fact, his last segment in Resurrection Wrestling, by the way. That was his last segment.
Yeah, that was. Man, hey, that is a slippery slope because, like I said, I know Jinx. I know Jinx. He's a really crazy guy. I mean, the dude's loopier than gold dust.
I'm going to say nothing
He's
on
talking
all
about
that.
he's talking about getting lawyers. He said he gonna call Johnny Cochran. So you might not got nothing to worry about because he ain't gonna be able to get in contact with Johnny Cochran. But oh man, that was a wild night, man. Because I was sitting in the back watching that, and I just seen Jinx go out there and get stunned, man. I'm just like, man, don't nobody want to see Jinx dance. I was really feeling sorry for Spooderman, though. I was really feeling sorry for Spooderman.
All
Like
right,
I said,
so
that's my guy.
I want to read off some comments. I want to present to you something. Then I have a guest that
Okay,
wants to say something to you, which is going to, I'm sure, further break the internet here on Sportswire Radio. But first of
okay,
all,
that's
let me
fine.
say hello to our buddies in the great state of Ohio, Dark Cryptic Wrestling, Mr. Dark Kron himself. He's one half of the IMF Tag Team Champions. The guys are going to be back in the
Hmm.
next weekend. They're from the great state of Ohio, where Summer Bash is taking place. And Dark Kron, hope you're doing well. I can't wait to see you next Thursday. I'm going to move away from the Xavier Thorne talk in the interest of time. I have him here Wednesday. We can have all the
Hmm.
Xavier Thorne talk in the world then. Also, I want to say hello to a man you probably know, Mr. Joseph Tibbs, and he would like me, first of all, to plug a show. Absolutely. Listen, by all means, what would you like to plug, Mr. Tibbs? I'd love to be able to plug it for you. I'd love to be able to talk about it on Sportswire Radio. So tell me what I could plug, and I'll read it off. And while I wait for you, Mr. Tibbs, to give a plug,
Mhm.
I want to give you something, Mr. Jack Spade, that I think that you deserve, because you deserve a little something for everything you've done in this
Mhm.
great sport. I'm all about rewarding and supporting those that have done it here. And obviously, I'd like to now make it a special date here for you, my friend, on
Mhm.
April 29th. 2024 on all Sportswire radio platforms. It is now Jack Spade. You know, they call you an icon, but you can't be an icon until you have your own day. And we wanted to make that happen here for you. So I want to make sure you have the
Mhm.
certificate off the air, and I'm going to give it to you personally. It was my physical John Hancock with my signature, our logo, the date,
Right.
and wanted to give you a little something because you've given so much to this great sport. You've given so much to Resurrection Wrestling, being part of the longest reigning tag team champions in history. Everything you've done from the BCW days and really helping mold so many great talents. I wanted you to have something here. And I just wanted
Mhm.
to be able to say thank you for everything that you've done in this great sport. And speaking of people that would like to say something else to you, Mr. Joshua Allen, who I was speaking with off the air. And of course, he is the owner of Tennessee Backyard Wrestling. And you've certainly had a lot of history with Tennessee Backyard Wrestling. You've certainly said a lot of things
Yes,
about
I
them.
had.
And also, speaking of other people that really want to come in here, Mr. Atomic Titan, he is the hardcore king. He's the hardcore king of TBW. Wanted to stop by and say hello to respect your hardcore king. I'm going to break it here because there's a lot of breaking news tonight. Atomic Titan is in your chair, Jack Spade, 2 weeks from now. So 2 weeks from tonight, same time you were here, 10:30 p.m., 9:30 p.m.
Mhm.
Central Standard Time. Atomic Titan is here. He is addressing the nation. He is addressing the backyard wrestling community, the underground community, and he is declaring himself victorious, that he is the most successful hardcore wrestler of all
Mhm.
time. He is declaring himself the greatest, and obviously, he's going to be here, and I am sure that is going to be a must-watch interview, especially after what he did to Alan Michaels. Alan Michaels, of course, my guy from Sportswire Radio, also an
Mhm.
analyst, and Atomic Titan is here. And anything you want to say about Atomic Titan? And obviously, he's now this hardcore king. You have had a lot of history with TBW, and you want to say anything to Atomic Titan?
I'll say this, Mr. Titan. Hardcore king. I for one, kings kneel before icons. So you're not even on my level, kid. And number two, I will acknowledge you as the hardcore king when you step into that ring with Mac 10 and he whips you this way and that way. When you step into the ring with Mac 10, and that's my guy, I stand by it. When you step into the ring with the hardcore werewolf, we'll see just how high that king's throne sits.
Ooh,
And
ooh, ooh,
in
ooh.
fact, you ain't even got to win. If you come out the end of that beating in one piece, I will acknowledge you as the hardcore king.
Wow. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen. And I wanted to put it up here on Instagram before I get to something else here breaking. That is his Instagram. Follow this man. Trust me, you will be not missing out and you won't regret it. So make sure you follow Mr. Spade on Instagram. And of course, to confirm, we also here made it a day of his because he's an icon and we want to make sure that. But Mr. Titan also said, yes, before anniversary 7, Mr. Titan's going to be here. And by the way, congratulations to TBW. TBW just celebrated their 7-year anniversary, 7 years. It was April the 25th, 2017 that they started. It is now April 25th,
Mhm,
2024. And Mr. Titan wants
mhm.
to say, maybe I'll see you at anniversary 7. So do you know something or do I am missing something here? Because he says maybe he'll see you
I
there.
mean, I don't know. Like I said, I, I do what I want. I take what I want, and I want what I take.
Okay.
I
Well,
if
can I
I see
bring?
a
Well, how
reason
about
to,
this? Can I bring you up when Atomic Titan comes on here in 2 weeks?
sure, sure. You can
Okay.
bring Jack Spade up whenever you need to bring him up because I stand by it. My name is absolute, and if you don't know, Now you know that Jack Spade holds weight.
Oh,
Jack
listen,
Spade
there's no question
is
about
an
that. You
upper
definitely
echelon.
hold weight. There is no question about that. And I'll bring your name up to Xavier Thorne on Wednesday, but I'm sure that'll get some laughs out of that. James Taylor's told me not to bring up Xavier Thorne again, but I'm going to bring him up anyway because he wants to respect the Hardcore King. He beat two other people of hardcore structure. Hardcore structure, he said, by the way. And going to be a bloodbath, by the way. That's what Mr. Tibbs was. Mr. Tibbs, if you wanted to plug something, let me know. And Mr. Allen said that he may need a barf bag for Atomic Titan coming on here live. Well, okay, well, you know what? I think this is a good time for me to do something. There is somebody that wants to come on and he wants to say something to you. And I have a
Okay.
feeling that this is going to be something. By the way, before I do that, want to say hello to one of my very good friends who's a well-known streamer. He is an NBA 2K streaming legend,
Hmm,
and I have to get him back on
hmm,
my show. In fact, I have to get him into my Hall of Fame. He is Mr. Watch Me Work 601. He has been featured on NBA
hmm.
TV. He's been featured. I mean, this guy, I interviewed him just about a year ago, and this guy is one of the greatest game streamers of all time. I got to give him a big plug. He's a part of the Pro Zone Gaming division. Please support them. PZGD. They've been one of my biggest supporters for almost 3 years now. And Mr. Watch Me Work, I got to get you back on Sportswire, and I got to maybe work to message you to get you maybe onto the show to induct you into my Hall of Fame, because since you last came on,
Mhm.
we have a Hall of Fame, which I might ask you a question on at the end of the show. But hopefully, Mr. Watch Me Work, you're taking a break from some NBA 2K coverage. And Mr. Sylvester likes to say Brady has claimed to have slayed the icon. You'll have to show him that's not the case. Thank you. Watch Me Work. Yes, definitely want to get you. But there's a lot of people that I think that might want, while we have a little bit of time left in the show, to bring on this
Mhm.
individual that he's got something to say. Only if you're okay with it. Only if you're okay, if you want me to bring this person on.
You know what? I don't even need to know who it is. Bring them on.
And it's
Bring them
not
on.
it's not Xavier Thorne.
Okay, then bring them on.
Hell
Bring
is
them on.
frozen over because it's, speaking of people that I guess the bridges are being mended. We're talking about Anthony Steele, the real deal, who, by the way, is a podcaster also. He's the co-host of the Inside the Rope show with the IMF, which I'm supposed to be on, I think, this coming Sunday. But I have
Mhm.
Mr. Copper Dragon on it. Copper Dragon's coming on Sportswire, so we'll see. But in the meantime, forget about that. Anthony, I don't think, is plugging Inside the Ropes. But I'm going to
Mhm.
take the screen vertical because I think Anthony likes it vertical. But Anthony Steele,
Mhm.
I know that you would like to, I'm sure, say something, and I'm going to let you do so because you know Jack Spade very well, and you were brought up a couple of times tonight, and I'm sure that you have something to say. So I'm passing the baton to you.
What up, Spade?
How you doing, Steele? How you doing?
I'm
That
doing all
was
right. How you doing, buddy?
Man, Jack Spade is here. He's alive. I feel as if I'm the most powerful man on earth because I know I am.
You have 133 people watching right now, so yeah, you're pretty popular at the moment.
Oh, yes, indeed. You're talking to a man who had 5 votes for president of the United States in 2016.
Wow, as a man that actually has worked for 2 state senators, a congressman. I technically got an assemblyman on the ballot. I am actually working now technically for a presidential candidate. That's pretty impressive, I have to say. Maybe you should take a career in politics instead. I can actually help you in that if you actually like to be in the world of politics, as crazy as that sounds. But different conversation for a
Well, I
different
wouldn't put it past me. The world would be a better place if Jack Spade was in charge of everything.
I'll take you in charge over Xavier Thorne, but I'll ask Xavier Thorne that question on Wednesday. But Anthony Steele, what can we do for you tonight on Sports by Radio? What would you like to say to a captivated audience right now? This is the second time you've appeared with somebody that was a huge part of the history of Resurrection Wrestling. Am I seeing things right now, Anthony Steele, or maybe this is real?
I'm just revealing that hell's about to freeze over completely.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Because Spade. Uh, it's been a while, right? It's been a
It's been a
while.
long time. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Um, and talking with some of your boys.
May 22nd of last year, in fact. I remember the date exactly. That was the last time I saw you, May 22nd, 2023.
You're right. You're actually right on that. And it's funny. It's funny to me actually that the moment I came on with D'Angelo, Pat, and Wicked J, everyone, the buzz started happening. The questions came ringing in. Is Anthony
Instagram had 400 plus people view the clip alone. I mean, it went
is
viral.
Anthony still coming back to Resi? Now, I'm not gonna say yes or no. I'm gonna say that we're gonna do it how everyone sees fit. Um, but what I will say is I think it's time for me and you to have a chat. And what better way to have a chat than on Sportswire Radio?
Well, we're not going to do
Mhm,
it on Triple
mhm.
W, right? Or the C2K
Nah, I'm
show.
good.
The number one global internet radio station in
Radio
the world.
station
I
I
stand by.
appreciate
where
that.
where all wrestling matters.
It does, actually. It does.
Except Xavier Thorne, but all other
You
wrestling matters.
you're
Well,
right.
he's
I can
Wednesday.
agree. I can
I
agree
have
with
a
you on that.
feeling
I can
Xavier
agree with
Thorne.
you on that one.
I have a feeling though that Xavier Thorne's show on Wednesday is going to be a must watch. I
Hey,
I
assure
will
you.
definitely be tuning in.
The
Hey, I'll be glued in
narrative,
with it.
hey, Spade. This is gonna be a little inside joke. For all the people at Resi and the people that watch Resi. Um, there's a difference between me and Thorne when it comes to in ring work, and it's about this much away. If you get what I'm saying, you understand.
yeah, I
Uh,
understand. I understand. I know
Um,
what you mean.
but if I remember right, the last time on screen, Anthony Steele and Jack Spade was seen together was that Battle Royal, if I'm correct,
you are.
where we got to see a little bit of what Anthony Steele and Jack Spade can do against each other.
That is correct.
Okay. And I haven't forgotten what happened. Um, I will never forget what happened that night on that fateful day.
Rightly so. Rightly so. If I was you, I wouldn't forget it either.
Now,
You want to tell the people what happened? I mean, since you brought it up, go ahead. Let's go ahead. I'll let you tell us since you telling the story. Go ahead and tell the people what happened.
see the battle royal. The final two competitors were Jack Spade and Anthony Steele, and
Mhm.
we kind of showed the world what it takes to have two people, two different sided people, square off in a ring, first time ever, and show chemistry. But then Jack Spade got the upper hand on Anthony Steele, eliminated
Mm,
Anthony Steele from the battle royal to win it all.
mm, mhm.
Now,
Yeah, that's right. And that is when the I called my shot, and I became later on became Resurrection's national champion, and that's actually the second longest reign of the national championship. The only person that has a longer reign than Jack Spade with the national championship is Dustin Alexander.
Who's now the world
And to
heavyweight
be
champion,
honest,
hardcore champion? Yeah,
that's why I know Dustin Alexander can do whatever he wants to in his business. Because if you can top a record held by Jack Spade, you're nearly godly.
you're an icon. That's why.
so but I do gotta say something about that because I've been listening to you. All right, man, and I respect your work. I really do. I respect the
Mhm.
hustle, man. That's one thing we can agree on is the hustle for this sport, the love for this sport. But there's one thing you've never done, and that's pin
Mhm.
Anthony Steele. One, two, three.
That's
Hmm.
right. I
See,
have it.
anyone can
But
get a lucky shot in a battle royal. Anyone can elimination can happen in the blink of an eye.
that's right. I can.
But
So, Mr. Steele, if it's just so easy to get an elimination in the battle world, why didn't you eliminate me? I mean, if it's just so easy, then why did you fail at doing it?
I
You see,
mean,
I think that that type of stuff is what people tell themselves when they come up short. You're probably used to coming up short in a lot of areas in your life, and that's okay, Mr. Steele.
ooh.
Just admit that
I
I'm
don't. I
better
don't
than
think
you.
this is the big bad silver wolf or loose cannon talking here, Anthony Steele. To you, this is Jack Spade. This is Jack
You're
Spade.
you're 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 right. You're right. It's not Silver Wolf. It's
Not
not Loose
Zack Attack,
Cannon.
the
It's
guy that
not
had
Zag
a
Attack.
brown
It's not
stain on his
C2K.
pants.
It's
Yeah.
not any of those. But coming up short, it happens. I mean, if we're gonna
Yeah,
te-
there's nothing
we're
wrong
gonna if
with
we're
it.
gonna if we're gonna technically go on that. I mean, that means you came up short against Ronnie Brady, and Ronnie Brady still hasn't beat Anthony Steele. Every match that me and Ronnie Brady's been in, it's been a draw. He couldn't find a way to beat Anthony Steele. So, I
That's
mean, if
right.
you're gonna come up short, I guess Jack Spade knows a thing or two about that also.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's the
yes,
thing.
they
You know,
does.
we live and we learn, right? That's what we tell
Hmm.
ourselves. We live and we learn. And like I said, I got respect for you, man. Now, with that being said, what you been up to lately? Where's Jack
What
Spade been?
has the icon been? What has the icon been up to lately? Well, first and foremost, we'll just go ahead and address it. When I lost against Ronnie Brady, which took 3 curb stops, by the way, when I lost to Ronnie Brady, I thought I had the upper hand because I had somebody laying and waiting in the back. And as soon as they were needed, they rushed out to the ring. They attacked Ronnie Brady, and I made him pass out. And I felt good, but it was fleeting. You know what I mean? It was fleeting. It was as if it was a temper. It was like a piece of zebra gum. It was blissful for 10 seconds and then nothing. So I said to myself, what kind of icon is Jack Spade that he needed somebody else to come from the back and clean up his dirty work for him? That's not right. So I stand in the mirror and I'm looking at myself and I'm saying, I could be stronger. I say to myself, I could be better. I could be faster. So I took a step back from the wrestling scene. I knew I had a lot of unfinished business with a lot of people, and I know that they're still waiting on me to finish that business with them. But when the
You heard
time
some
is
of it
right,
tonight.
Jack will come. But you see, I took that time away and I made myself better. And I'm still making myself better. And once I get to my peak, and I'm very close. Oh, I'm very close. Once I get to my peak, I will be unstoppable. It
So,
doesn't matter if you're 3 feet tall or 7 feet tall. I could beat anybody from Hornswoggle to Andre the Giant. I could be the one who can. I digress. I could go on about me for
so,
days. I could
so,
go
so
on
hold on.
about me for
So what I'm hearing is you lost to Ronnie Brady. You had to do your dirty work, and then you thought to yourself that wasn't right, so you packed your bags and you left. Um,
right.
and then you
That's right.
disappear because you got to
That's right.
regroup because at that point you were no longer Jack Spade. You you
That's right.
were you were just the lackey that Ronnie Brady left laying, and he proved it that night.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I, hearing you call yourself the icon,
Oh, yeah.
an icon doesn't pack his bags and leave. An
Yeah.
icon reboosts himself and gets immediately back to where he was at. See, that's where I'm all getting to, Mr. Spade. Is
Mhm, mhm,
while you packed your bags and you left. See,
mhm,
I took the initiative of when everything went down, when Anthony Steele disappeared off the resurrection screen.
mhm.
I went I went somewhere else. I
That's right.
went I went and found more talent to compete against. I went
That's
and
right.
won championships at those
Mhm,
companies.
that's
Faced
right.
legends, icons bigger than Jack Spade.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And
And
then you woke up.
and then what happened, Tom? I think it was I think Resurrection and Anthony still crossed paths again.
Yeah, I saw it about 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago. As a matter of fact.
And then Anthony Steele and Resurrection cross
Mhm.
paths, it seemed like
I couldn't believe my
it seemed
eyes.
like time froze because then it went
Mhm.
from Anthony Steele and Resurrection having the beef, having the turmoil against each other,
Mhm.
to the talk that needed to happen a year and a half ago,
Mhm.
Spade.
Mhm.
And what I to answer the question that everyone has been asking me, would I want to come back to Resurrection? I said it straight up, and I'm gonna say it live on Sportswire. D'Angelo LaFlame, man, I want that match.
Let's
I, I,
go.
I
Let's
want I
go.
want Anthony Steele versus D'Angelo LaFlame. I want Anthony Steele versus Pat the Gold Dragon. But you know what I want even more than that?
What?
I want to right my wrong.
Mhm.
I want to right the wrong that Anthony Steele left with a bitter taste in his mouth a year and a half ago, where Jack
Mhm.
Spade got the upper hand on Anthony Steele. But it seems like now Anthony Steele has the upper hand on Jack Spade. Because while you've been sitting there, chilling at home, regathering yourself, I've been out here making a fucking statement on this scene.
Oh.
And it seems like the icon needs to get a taste of what the real deal is really about.
Well, you see, that's the thing, Anthony Steele. You've been saying the icon doesn't do this and icon doesn't do that. The icon needs to do this. For one, you are not an icon, so you have no right to speak on what an icon should or shouldn't do or should or shouldn't feel. And secondly, there is a major difference between you and I, Anthony Steele. Do you know what that is? I know you don't know what that is. So let me tell that to you. See, you strike when the iron's hot. Okay? You strike when the iron's hot, and that's commendable because not a lot of people can do that. And I will give you that, Anthony Steele. You strike when the iron's hot. But Jack Spade makes the iron hot by striking it. So it doesn't matter if I've been sitting down for 8 days or 8 months. When I stand up, they kneel down. And you need to get that through your head. I am the icon. And they
But
call me that for a reason. You think I call myself that? The people gave me that name.
Over a decade in this sport, by the way. Over a decade in this yard in the underground. What this man's done, longest reigning tag team champion in Resurrection history. Once upon a time, the national champion, BCW lore. I mean, this man's done it all. This man, and he
so
helped build Resurrection Wrestling.
a decade, right? 10 years?
Yes.
10,
Not
10
quite
years,
the,
Spade.
not quite the James Taylor level, but
10,
certainly maybe
10
just as
years.
good.
Well, Steele's been in here for 7.
That's true.
And if you want to be technical, I think it's May 13th will mark officially 7 years Anthony Steele has been in the industry of professional wrestling.
You don't say.
And Spade, like, it's saddening to hear you say that because now it's starting to sound like everyone else when they come to talk to Anthony Steele. It sounds like, you know, just because you have tenure, just because you've been in here longer, just because you faced guys that I haven't yet, you feel like you're on this podium that is above Anthony Steele. Well, let it be known, and Tom can verify, they don't call me the real deal for nothing. So let me speak to you 100%. Spade, I understand, man. You've been in this industry for so long and you have this respected tenure. When people look at you and then they look at me, there's a difference. They see someone that they can get behind because you speak what they want to hear. But then you have a guy like me that people get behind because they hear what people really need to hear. But then that's the same reason why people don't like me. That's why people call me a heel by heart. They call me a very controversial figure in the art of backyard and pro wrestling. But it's more to that. It's more than that. It's not that I'm a heel. It's not that I'm a bad guy. It's I'm a truthful guy. And that's my whole statement that I want to bring out for me to the world is you got to be true to yourself. Because when the lies start coming out, there's facts to prove that you're wrong. And Jack Spade, it looked like you were wrong when you called yourself the icon. Because, again, icons can overcome anything, right?
Yeah.
Ronnie Brady couldn't overcome Anthony Steele. Anthony Steele couldn't overcome Ronnie Brady. There was a stoppage. There was a midpoint that we couldn't surpass. And it seems that Ronnie Brady surpassed you. It seems that Jack Spade has gone in the back of his mind that people have finally figured you out. But no one can really figure out Anthony Steele. Because I'm like a cockroach. I'm like, you think you
I can
killed
agree
me.
with that.
You think you killed me. You think that you got rid of me, but I come back and I annoy the fuck out of you. And I'll admit it. I 100% understand and utilize that. That I will forever keep coming back in people's lives and people's eyesights for the simple fact that you can't get rid of me. There's no cure for Anthony Steele.
All right, but let me ask you a quick question, Anthony Steele, because you talked about Jack Spade's experience. Were you trying to say that he was similar to a C2K or similar to?
No, I'm gonna give him his props. He's way better than fucking C2K. He's
Okay,
had
because
more
you
matches
talked
than
about his
C2K.
experience, and I was just trying to make sure because this man is an icon. This man is a
Hey,
legend.
I'm gonna try to restrain from bringing that topic up
I
because
just want to make sure because
it's not.
we've heard guys come on here. I'm a 32-year veteran. I'm a 33-year veteran. I'm an 8-time Hall of Famer. Puerto Rico, the world champion. Another guy that's
Exactly.
the world crowd. So I want to make sure Jack Spade. This is real.
Exactly.
Jack Spade is the big leagues. Jack Spade is a guy that can come on here and he can talk. Jack Spade is a guy that he doesn't need a business card to show his experience. He's been doing this. This is a man that Anthony Steele that could be a peer of yours and you have unfinished business with. This is a man that I would hope that we're talking in a way where there's some mutual respect. Certainly.
Right, here you go.
All right, let's go for it.
Spade. I'm kind of known for something on here. And if you don't mind, can I break the fourth wall?
Go ahead.
Hold on, let me pull something up, Spade.
I
think you're gonna remember this.
After the Zack
very
Attack
well.
incident, anything's fair game at this point, I suppose.
I think you're gonna remember this.
Oh
Because
boy.
it was. Hold on. I got a question.
Yeah, what's your question? C2K talk show. C2K, come on down. C2K, where is he? He's gonna be live.
Who are those two people, Spade?
Oh, I think you know what? They look familiar.
Who is that?
Those guys look familiar.
I think that's you, right?
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
Okay, okay. And this is where the respect factor comes in, right? So you the good old days, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think I recognize that guy. I recognize that chick there. Yep.
See, the thing about it is, and this is where another way I can break a fourth wall.
Do we get the copyright footage on Sportswire to show that? Were we allowed to get?
Yeah, it was recorded by me. So yeah, I give you right.
Because we know if it was the other company in Tennessee, you showing it, I would have to ask the disclaimer.
So
good thing there.
Spade, I'll give you your props when it comes to when he brings up C2K. He brings up C2K, a dude that came on here and said he's had what 10, 15, 20 years.
32-year veteran, actually.
32-year veteran. All right, 32-year veteran. There's a big difference. There's a big difference, Spade, and I'm gonna give you your props. This is where people can't tell what the fuck I'm doing. Spade, you have proof.
Oh, absolutely.
You have valid proof, and again, I'm all about the proof. I'm all about facts. With C2K, I found his proof. I found the proof that he was lying. I found the proof that he's had probably that many
Talk
matches.
show.
That many matches.
Okay.
Mhm.
10
And actually, this is how many I heard so far. This is how many I've saw.
10, 5. Okay. Oh.
Yeah,
And
I
Well.
couldn't.
working in the back with you.
Mhm.
In the good old days of Resi, you know, we've been across the ring from each other.
Mhm.
We've stood side by side with each other, and that's
Mhm.
where the art of respect comes in.
Mhm.
Is I know the caliber of talent that you are.
Mhm.
I know that when it comes to Jack Spade's going to come back strong,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I respect that
Yeah.
because
Right.
I work the same way. That's where one of my famous quotes that I love to say is, "We're cut from the same cloth, but went two different directions."
Mhm.
Because me and you are similar in ways, but just took different opportunities and capitalized on them.
Mhm.
And that's the word I want everyone to understand: is capitalize. Because you got guys in the yard, in the indies, and wrestling in general, who try so hard to make a name for themselves at other people's expense.
Mhm.
But then they have no they have the heart, but most of them don't have the brain cells to understand what it really takes to be in this industry. Now, Jack Spade, as you've seen, me and him has sat in the ring. We've trained together, I'm honest to say, he's taught me some things in the ring. You want here? But let's get it real, Spade. And I know you're gonna remember this. James Taylor versus Anthony Steele 2 Resurrection. Y'all remember that? Y'all
Yeah.
remember that, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
James Jack Spade, because James Taylor wanted to do a spot, and I'm gonna tell you the spot. And I remember
I
Tom
remember.
even mentioned it on the Jack Spade taught Anthony Steele how to do a kip up.
Oh.
Jack Spade is the reason Anthony Steele was able to do a kip up in that match. He taught both me and James, and then James fell flat on his ass and then hurried up and scurried the fuck up. And it made for a funny moment. It made for a
You should
good
have
moment.
brought that up when we watched the match live on Sportswire, Mr. Spade. He probably was listening to that show and was like, "Why didn't you
Hey,
mention it?"
again at that time I was trying to turn a new leaf, not try to stir up the pot per se, as
Mhm.
people would say. But
Well, you've actually seemed to be winning people over lately these days. I'm not sure if that's a good thing,
'cause
Anthony Steele.
I look, whether I win them over or they still hate me. Look, Jack Spade, you've been in this business for 10 years. I've been in it for 7. There's one phrase that everyone has told. I know both of us,
Mhm.
and I know you can respect it just as much as I can. If you don't have haters, you ain't doing something right. Because
I,
people are going to hate you.
I suppose that's true, but that's always a deadly line to tread. Because let me tell you a story about somebody who had haters. Uh, it was a person you might know named Queen Marie Antoinette. She had haters. She got her head chopped off.
Yeah, I do remember hearing about her.
So I'm just
The-
saying, you say it's all in perspective. It might be good to have haters. It might be bad to have haters. It really all depends on who those haters are and whether or not you pissing off the right or wrong people. Because some people they're good to have on the bad side. Oh, I can't stand them. Woo, woo, woo. Some people you get on their bad side and it ends your whole
uh,
career.
that's why we have the
I mean,
talk show, C2K.
hey, but let me,
Yeah, you never
uh,
know though.
let me see if I can break the fourth wall real quick. Let me see if I can actually break the fourth wall real quick.
Is this is this something that people are going to be like, "Wow, we're really breaking doors here on Sportswire, huh?" Are you? Who are you
I'm gonna
calling?
wait. I'm gonna wait for that response.
Are you
And Jack,
calling up someone now on Sportswire?
hold on. I'll say this. Um, I'll 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 show y'all one thing on who I messaged, and Jack Spade will know 100% when this shows up. I
All right,
sent
well,
one
go for
person.
it.
Sent one person a message asking to break the fourth wall. Once they give me the yes or the no, is when the question's gonna ask. But
I don't know who that is. Would that be Loose Cannon?
Nah.
Would that be Zack Attack or Queen? What's her name now? Queen May, Queen Bee.
Who? Who?
The guy that wrestles with the shit stain on the back of his pants.
You know what?
I don't know him, but I like him. I like him already.
Trust me. Trust me.
But now
You
we know
won't.
this match has to happen
You won't.
between you and Anthony.
You know what? I'm gonna break it. I'm gonna break the fourth
Oh
wall.
boy! And now the person that didn't confirm this, I'm sure, is like, "Uh oh."
It's a question that I haven't got to ask a lot of people,
Okay.
and it's a very simple question, and you know what this question is, Spade.
Okay.
Yes or no?
I did not kill the governor of Michigan, if that's what you're implying.
Nah.
I was like, I did not sleep
Yeah.
with that intern. I did not have sexual relations with that intern. I was automatically okay. That's where this
I
is
ain't
going.
gonna lie to you, Mr. Steele. You probably gonna have to elaborate a little bit right there, because yes or no. I mean, that could say that. Hey, that could be a lot of things. That could be a lot.
The biggest question that we're waiting on the answer for.
Oh, do I want to see you back in Resurrection?
Yes, sir.
Do I want to see you back in Resurrection?
Does Jack Spade want to see Anthony Steele back in Resurrection?
Does Jack Spade want to see Anthony Steele back in Resurrection? That's a good question. That's a real good question. I don't know. I don't know. And let me explain myself before. On one hand, it would be a bridge mended, and it would be a reuniting of old bonds, so to speak. But on the other hand, as with most things in life, it's apt to be as bad as it is good. As you
Respectfully.
know, we're not gonna get too much into it. I'm gonna just say this, and we're gonna have to move off this subject.
Yeah, because we've only
But
got X amount of time left on sports.
yeah, but like I said, it's a lot of people and a lot of feelings, and when you mix in people, feelings, in a sport where we actually put our hands on each other, it could end up bad. So who knows? Who knows?
100%. And I agree with that. And I'm gonna make my final comment, and then I have one last question for you.
Okay.
Okay, let's go for it.
So, oh, dude, he just responded after I answered the question. I asked the question. He's he told me don't break the fourth wall.
Well,
The way I look at it is this.
don't worry. You can always ask Xavier throwing the same question on Wednesday's show.
I don't care what he has to think. Let that be known.
All right, fair enough. Fair play.
The way I look at it is this. I told the guys that I've talked to so far. What happened happened.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where you're going to I'm gonna break my own fourth wall. And hold on, let me do this. That way people can understand what I mean by that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something that I need to put a link up to?
Nah. This is where people are gonna understand.
Okay.
What happened.
Mm-hmm.
We've come to the conclusion that the way it happened should have never done. It should never happen in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to bring up actually the fact that Steven Silvestri, our general manager, has said he hasn't got a chance to meet you, and he would like to, and he hopefully would like to do that soon.
If you're talking to me, Steven.
Yes, that's who he's talking to, obviously.
Everyone there has got, well, most of them there. It's got my info.
I could put your Instagram up on the screen.
Just, if you want to hit my Instagram up, go ahead. The name that's on the screen right now. Find me on Facebook. But this is where I'm gonna break my own fourth wall and talk as me.
Oh, I just see the name change.
Um,
Oh, okay.
and it's as simple as this, Spade, and it's as simple as this to everyone watching. When you have outside sounds, I'm gonna call them outside noises coming into the inside and speaking to you from both directions and opposite directions. At that point, you don't know what is true and what is false. Um, and whether we make an agreement, whether we come to a resolution on this whole subject that we're looking for an answer for, um, I'm gonna say it here, live on Sportswire. I do apologize for what transpired a year and a half ago. I want to apologize for what has transpired within the last year and a half after that. Um, I've still said to this day that the guys there have proven themselves day in and day out, busting their ass to put on some of the greatest product I've ever seen come from a backyard slash now underground company. And y'all have good people that you're surrounding yourself with that is training you and pushing y'all to the limits that y'all need to go to push yourselves to. Um, there's one person in particular, Spade, and at that point, I won't say his name that I need to talk to. I need to have a one-on-one talk to and completely fucking speak to on this situation. But I'm gonna say I apologize. I'm truly sorry. Um, I will still say to this day what I was accused of did not happen. And before y'all try to go on here and say that I did some fuck shit like Zach did, no, it's I did not steal. I kind of made it into a joke with Resi, and we all laughed about it. My name might be Anthony Steele, but I did not steal a damn thing.
I believe you.
Um, I respect all y'all. I see the new talent. I got to meet some of the new talent. They're good. Some of them are still in the process of training, and the only way I see it is getting better. Um, and at this point, I've uh, I've come to the resolution with myself that I was wrong in that instance. Um, I could have and should have handled it differently, but um, Resi, I'm sorry.
You know, we only have X amount of time. I like to get to final thoughts. I really want to give Mr. Spade the opportunity to say a few things, but I want to say one thing before I turn it over to Mr. Spade and close out the evening. And I want to remind people that on this date, we also honored Mr. Spade for a special day on Sportswire. I want to thank him for his contributions. Anthony, what you've done tonight, I don't think anybody's ever seen you do on this platform. You've been coming here for over a year now. And what you did tonight, it was different than when you addressed that other company in Tennessee. This was different. This sounded like a man that you sounded today different than any other appearance here tonight. So obviously, I'm going to let the powers that be in Resurrection Wrestling decide what they would like to do. The decision about whatever your future is what's best for that company and in between you. I hope for the best. I'd like to see you back in Resurrection. Listen, I'll say it again. I'd love to see you back in TBW, but I'm not even going to bring that up again because we're going to be here for 35 minutes and that. I wouldn't even mind seeing you in XCW back. But that's up to Fletch and Fletch is, he's an asshole. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's just the reality of it is. But we have class people here in Resurrection, and I think obviously at the end of the day, you know, we'll see what happens. I mean, but I think you showed a lot of class. and you showed that you've matured. And whatever it might be, like I said, and we love XCW. Love Fletch, by the way. I just want to make it clear. Love Fletch. Love the company there. You were a great product there, but in Resurrection, it was different. So, okay. So obviously, we'll see. I want to give you, Jack, the opportunity to say anything else you'd like to say to anybody out there before we get to final thoughts. Is there anything else that you'd like to address or anything you want to say here, Jack Spade, tonight?
Cameron Cage, Dustin
right
Alexander.
He's right here.
Cameron Cage, Dustin Alexander, Adrian Prince, and D'Angelo LaFlame, and Drake Golddragon.
Ooh.
You're all doing amazing things. Keep it up. I hope you branch out far and wide. And never forget, Jack Spade is watching you. Now, to every other wrestler in the country besides them, Jack Spade's coming for you. And your head is on the chopping block. And you don't even know your head's on the chopping block. But it's there. Notice that list of safe people didn't include somebody else. Right here.
Yeah.
Didn't include somebody else. So Anthony Steele, you want your match with Jack Spade? It just might happen when you least expect it. So be careful what you wish for.
Oh! Ladies and gentlemen, you know what, Anthony Steele? Maybe you got your wish because Jack Spade basically said, you know what, Anthony Steele? You're on. And something tells me if Jack Spade, the icon, won something, it's going to happen because he's an icon after all. And you know what? We're even going to go further. Jack Spade, your next appearance on Sportswire Radio, you're taking your place in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame.
Yes, sir. Yes,
You're going
sir.
to be a Hall of Famer next month.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I feel honored for that. I can't wait. Looking forward to it most definitely.
And Justin Parsley, speaking of Hall of Famers, would like to say, I came in at the right time always. Good evening, gents and germs. Bless you all. And speaking of XCW, I have Mitchell Maverick. Your old friend Anthony Steele. Mitchell Maverick is here, 10 o'clock on Thursday, by the way.
Who?
Mitchell Maverick.
Huh?
Mitchell. This is going to go right back to Fletch now. Now Fletch would be like,
Are you talking about Parsley?
Yeah, XCW. Mitchell Maverick from XCW is coming on here Thursday at 10. Ring a bell?
Nope.
Okay, never mind. Justin Parsley, don't have this go back to Fletch because now you'll say, we were promoting guys on Sportswire and they didn't know who they were. But be that as it may, pretend that never happened. But yeah, Mitchell Maverick is here at 10 o'clock Thursday. But you look like you got your wish, Anthony Steele. But would you like to say anything else before we say sayonara tonight?
Couple things.
Okay.
One, Spade.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say this respect, but I know some Resi guys are in here, so this is gonna be this is gonna show. I'm gonna spit my fucking ego for a minute. It is a fight that I want, and it's a fight that I will fucking get, and I can't wait to kick your fucking head off.
Oh, you sure he's an icon? This is an icon. This is not D2K.
Hey, look. I understand you're the icon, but I'm gonna tell you, you're not Sting, and you're not gonna end your fucking trilogy. You ain't gonna end your story. You ain't gonna end your career without getting your ass kicked by me.
People love to bring that up every time they say icon. You Sting, it's Sting.
There's only one. There's only one.
Look at you. There's
I'm
only
looking at
one
right now. Who's current? Sting's no more. Jack Spade's the true icon.
Let me tell you something, Mr. Steele. There's only one real deal, and that's Evander Holyfield.
Good point. And I used to play his video game, by the way. He had a video game.
Hey, look.
And I got one more thing to say.
Go for it.
I don't know if it's closing thoughts yet, but I got one more thing I really want to say. And this is to all you wrestlers out there, whether you be in backyard or indie and you feel like you're just not where you want to be yet, and you don't give up. Let me tell you a story. I had an uncle who was a professional, an independent wrestler back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s
Oh
by the
wow.
name
Okay.
of Freezer Thompson. Okay. I don't
Okay.
know if y'all know him, but he was real big in the South in Arkansas. Now,
Okay.
in the 90s, he wrestled a guy that went by the name of the Master of Pain, right? And he
Oh
told me
yeah.
this story himself. So this Master of Pain guy, he wasn't happy with how he was doing. And this is a true story. You can actually look up the YouTube video itself, Freezer Thompson versus the Master of Pain. But he
You know what?
wrestled this guy named the Master of Pain, and he told him he had a big future in the business and to keep pushing it. And the guy, he said, way it was told to me, he said the Master of Pain, he was like, I don't know, man, it's not going how I wanted to go so far. My uncle told him, keep pushing, keep going. You know what happened to the Master of Pain? In 1997, at Survivor Series, he debuted as The Undertaker. That is a true story. That is a true story. You can look it up. The Master of Pain versus Freezer Thompson. That's my uncle in that match.
Wow. You know what?
Yes,
You just
indeed.
never know what you learn on Sportswire. You just never know what
Never.
you get. That's why you stay here. We have 134 people still watching us right now. So obviously, people want to see Jack Spade. They want to hear his stories. They want to see Anthony Steele, who just basically shocked maybe the wrestling world today by apologizing, putting his real name out there. He doesn't apologize. He didn't apologize to C2K. He didn't apologize to Loose Cannon. He didn't apologize to Zack Attack. He didn't even apologize to Omen Black. He didn't apologize to Jackson Law. He didn't apologize to Fletch. He didn't apologize to James Taylor. He didn't apologize to Jack Delta. He didn't apologize to Aaron Blaze. He didn't apologize to Hunter Halkid. I mean, we can go up and down the list of people. He didn't apologize to any of them.
Hey.
Atomic Titan, Josh Allen, Gage Flair, Russell
No,
Cooper,
no,
Max
no.
Chaos.
I wouldn't. I haven't done all that on Sportswire. I've
I'm gonna
now
say.
we can't say I haven't done that or I
Well,
haven't
I
tried.
was trying to make the magnitude of that
Yeah.
fact that, you
But
know what?
I will.
Before we sign off, wrestling is a special thing. I said it tonight. We should be a community. We should all be together. Copper Dragon said it last night with James Taylor. We need to all stick together because there isn't many of us. Pro wrestlers, there's hundreds of them. Independent wrestlers, there's thousands of us. But how many yarders? How many undergrounders are out there? How many shows cover yard and undergrounders? How many wrestling companies are really out there? We go out there, we do this because we love it. We go out there because we want to certainly show what we can do when we're underdogs. Our backs are against the wall, and we need to stick together. So, you know, at the end of the day, I don't know. I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do this. Resurrection Wrestling, you obviously have had a successful company. You've obviously put together a great group of talent, and I enjoy your product, and I enjoy many of the people that come on this platform. As a wrestling fan, just a wrestling fan, I mean nothing, right? I don't mean anything at the end of the day, but if there's a will and a way for Anthony Steele to wrestle Jack Spade and some of the newer talent, why not? Life is we only live once. Life is short. At the end of the day, the way I see things is that if Hulk Hogan can keep coming back to WWE, if Bret Hart came back to WWE, if Ultimate Warrior came back to WWE, if they let Scott Steiner in the WWE Hall of Fame, they let all these other people come
I,
out there in wrestling. Why the heck not at this point? So at the end of the day, you know what? I'm even going to go further in saying it. Anthony Steele and James Taylor should happen in Resurrection Wrestling. It should happen. If TBW doesn't want to do it, that's their business. I'm not in the business of telling people what they should or shouldn't do. If this gets me canceled, I really don't even care at this point. If you're a wrestling company out there, book Anthony Steele, book Jack Spade, and let's go for it. What's to lose? At the end of the day, I want to be in the business of telling people what they should or shouldn't do, but I'm a fan. I love this sport. I put my blood, sweat, and tears in, just like everybody else is. And I don't know. That's all I'm going to say. That's it. All wrestling matters, and together we will win. And I hope that we see it. Anthony, thank you for your insightful, enlightening comments. Jack Spade, Thank you for everything you've done for this sport. I want to thank everybody that's tuned in here. I want to thank Resurrection Wrestling. I want to thank them especially. Joseph Tibbs wanted to plug something. If you want to plug something, let me know. I'll have Xavier Thorne on Wednesday, so we'll have Xavier Thorne, and we can pick up this conversation back. And I'm sure a lot of people also will want to hear more of it. But support Resurrection Wrestling. All their platforms below. Please support them. As a matter of fact, support every wrestling company. Support TBW, XCW, DBW, VTW, even the ones that don't want to really embrace the community. Support them too, because there are certain companies that come on here and they embrace the community. Resurrection Wrestling embraces it. TBW, despite you not being in TBW actually does a really damn good job actually of supporting the platform. They really do a damn good job. There's some companies that come in here and, they come in here and they shoot their shot and that's it. NEW, by the way, Jake Matthews, I want to give him a big shout out. Please support New Underground Wrestling. WCE, IMF, support them. ROEW, support all of them. Support BTW, DBW, lose LBYW. Thank you, everybody, and good night.